Live from the garage, Houston, Texas. As you can see the cap. Even though that's not my team, I'm a Green Bay Packer fan. But I'm gonna represent where I'm from, H-Town to the fullest. The video really just made. Lately I've been going on YouTube, seeing a lot of videos about prison life. A lot of it BS. Some of it legit. So, by me doing 14 years in the state of Texas, I feel like, maybe I can tell my stories. Somebody might call me out on it, call it BS. Some might be enlightened by it. But, these are my stories, and I got plenty of them. I got incarcerated in 1992. I got out in 2006. So I was down there. It's on the worst units in Texas when they were rocking and rolling. From your Beto to your Ferguson to your Coalfields, to even some of the new units like Briscoe, Estelle's, open up Pam Lynch. First inmate off the bus, me and the dude named J.O., Jasper Drennan, out of Dallas, Texas, 107 Hoover. First two to come off the bus, open up Pam Lynch State Jail, July 10th, 1995. What story I want to tell y'all today? I think I'm going to start off from the beginning and tell a little bit. I got locked up in 92. At that time, I feel like, anybody got locked up during that time, I know we were locked up in the worst era. I know in the 60s and the 50s and the 70s were rougher in prison. But politic-wise, I think in the 90s was the worst era. Everybody was war on crime and being harsh on crime and stopping the revolving door of inmates getting time and getting right out. When Ann Richards was the governor of Texas, they had the revolving door. Get 5 years, do 5 months right back on the street. And a lot of dudes were committing crimes again. And, the public was crying about them getting out, committing crimes, when they ain't supposed to be out. So when old Bush Jr. got in office, that was his motto, to be strict on crime. So by the time I hit the system, they won't let nobody out. You were doing 85% of your time, no matter if you're aggravated, non-aggravated, whatever, you were doing your time. And at the time, the prison system was so full that they were opening new units, private units. People with money were buying their own jails and housing inmates and making money off of us. And prime example, I got incarcerated in 92. I got my time in 93. I didn't leave the county jail until 94, almost 2 years later. First place I hit was Newton County, private facility, up there by Jasper, maybe 70 miles north of Beaumont, which it was cool. We enjoyed it because we wasn't under T.D.C.J rules, so that means we could fight the guards, and we weren't getting no cases and all this stuff that was going against our parole. Whatever we did, it wasn't part of T.D.C., so it really ain't counted against us. Now, you kill somebody, of course, you're gonna go to that county where if you kill somebody, you can get some more time, but we kind of had it made because we were air-conditioned, had radios and cable TV, and they had a VCR hooked up. This old school. Had a VCR hooked up, one VCR hooked up to every TV on all the dorms on the unit. So we were watching Miniature Societies and the Boomerangs and, all the movies that were coming out during that era. Well, the state of Texas got smart and figured, why we just gonna, cater to the Texas inmates? We can cater to other states that are going through the same thing with overcrowding populations and their prison system. So they start housing other inmates from other states down here in Texas, herding them in like cattle. And a prime example of this, I say kidnap, they might, it might be a harsh word, but first time I came to contact with the East Coast dudes, New York and Virginia. First time. Every time we ever seen New York cats, it was always on, New York Undercover or, New Jersey Drive and all the movies. But this is the first time we come in contact with New York cats. And what reason why I say they kidnapped, this is a story I got from the New York cats. when they came to Texas. They say they got herded on the bus about 1 in the morning. Thought they were going to transit in their state, New York. Got to an Air Force base full of Texas Rangers with cowboy hats on, big old arm airplane, C-10s or whatever, airplane, A-10s, whatever they call. Put them on the airplane. Once they was in flight, passed out a piece of paper and told them they were getting transferred to Newton County private unit in Newton, Texas, 70 miles north of Beaumont. This the contact information you can tell your family. This after they in the air. Now remind you, they caught time. They caught their case in New York and Virginia, but they getting shipped to Texas to do time. And their prison didn't hold no violent offenders. It wasn't no lifers, death rows, and all that stuff. Every dude that had 10 years for dope, 5 years for robbery, and they sent them away to Texas to do time. So when these New York cats got off the bus, we didn't know what was going down. We didn't know they was coming there. So, we kind of had open arms to them because we looked at it like, y'all inmates, we inmates. But the New York cats, they were getting out the bus plexing. Now, now that I'm older and wiser and look back at it, I can understand you're mad, because I would be mad too. But don't be mad at us. We inmates too, even though we from the great state of Texas. We are inmates too, but they getting out the bus plexing with us. So, of course, when you get two unmovable forces bump heads, it's going to be problems. And I'm not fit to sit there and say that, we Texas niggas, we run shit. But at the time, Texas wasn't on the map like New York and Cali. So a lot of them came down looking at us as being country bunks. Horse riding, tobacco dipping. Just country ass niggas. And they thought they would come down here and just run us. And it wasn't going down like that. At first we tried to respect them. Try to make their time in Texas as best as possible. They got out the bus plexing, And I guess in New York they got a little thing, mean mugging, where they just be like them Onyx boys. No disrespect to, sticky fingers and the rest of them Onyx cats. How they be mean mugging. This when the bald heads was going in, everybody was bald headed. They get out the bus and mean mugging, They staring niggas down and looking crazy and rah this and rah that, and automatically on the wreck yard it's going down. Now remind you, they outnumbered already, because it probably was maybe 80 or 90 of them. I'm going to say at least about 300 of us. So already you outnumbered. So why you going to come down and make the situation even worse? Now I'm not going to say all the New York cats were plexing, because I got cool with some of them. I can't remember no names or whatever, because they were way 20 years, 30 years almost ago. But some of these cats was cool. But a lot of these cats were plexing, and it didn't go well with them. And by us not being in the system yet, we straight up from the shoulders and hands. They do want to have shanks and stuff, so automatically that ain't sit well being in the tank with a shank at the time. You gotta get your ass about it here. There ain't no shank. You can't fight, catch PC. And those don't know what PC is, they're protected custody. Part 2 coming soon.